Just smile for me, Michael.
So, and we're live.
Hey!
Hey! Welcome to this week's Coffee with Kyan. We got our new powerful trio, the M-Power Trios.
Oh, wow.
Empower.
M-Power. Have a little bit more enthusiasm, guys.
Empower.
Empower!
All
right. So, shall we introduce ourselves first? Kyan Wei.
Yes.
Then, we should probably start with lady first, and then I'll let Tank want to go first. He's got a new nickname.
Hi, I am Molly Korb, NetSuite specialist here at IT Works.
I am Matt James, JD Edwards specialist. Feel free to give me a call anytime or follow my dank memes on Instagram and Facebook at Matthew D. James.
He actually practiced for this.
All right, last but not least, Michael Fraser, Cerner specialist. Check me out on Instagram. My Facebook is the same, Michael S. Fraser II. Contact me for all your Cerner module needs.
All of them.
Wow. So I know each of you have been submerged into each of your market space for quite a bit of time. And then how have you found that about the niche approach that's different than anything that you may have or may not have envisioned in the past?
Definitely felt like drinking from a fire hose the first couple weeks, learning. The biggest obstacle for me was the lingo by far, especially acronyms, abbreviations for things. You really have to dive deep and kind of get people to explain it to you like a second grader almost, because you don't know. The first time someone said, oh yeah, I've done application design for X and X modules, like, Laura, yeah, I do business intelligence. What does that mean?
Yeah.
So that was the hardest part for me.
I guess I'll go next. The hardest part for me was not acting like you know nothing at all. Like literally coming into every conversation, like you said, Matt. So calling you today to discuss your such and such experience with you, to identify some ideal opportunities. And you pretty much just sit there and listen, and you're playing more of a active listener role, more so than you ever have done in any other previous recruiting roles that you've had.
Yeah.
Yeah, just to piggyback off that, it's just allowing yourself to kind of be a sponge and learn as much as you can about your niche market while you have all this information coming at you. We all come from a recruiting background, so I know recruiting well, but this is a brand new aspect of recruiting that I hadn't done before coming here, and I really think the niche gives it its edge. So you're speaking with people with a certain expertise and really wanting to learn what they do, what are they looking to do, where is this going, how does everything fit together. So putting all of the dots together has been the most challenging, but also where I feel like I'm getting the most out of it.
Yeah, it's kind of cool though, like especially since you are the expert and you're learning, and you're talking more on the client side. You're giving recommendations, and this lady who has like 20 years of experience and so and all this stuff, Grandmaster in JD Edwards. She didn't know an appropriate salary range like on the market, so. Dove in and just based upon a few different factors, gave her one, and I was able to set the salary range for the position versus her just giving it to me. So that was cool, and I think comes really specifically with the niche.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think sometimes when candidates receive a recruiting call, they probably get called multiple times a day by different recruiters, but the edge we really have is knowing the market so in and out. We may not know the system, but we know the market value of your skills. So getting to understand your expertise and really what you bring to the table can help us best make sure you're getting that ideal opportunity. But also on the the client side, making sure they're getting that perfect candidate as well to match their needs. So it's really a win-win for everybody.
Yeah, I think one of the main things you learn is you make your niche. So you basically niche squared, if you will. You start off building that genuine interest in the candidate, right? And then you continue forward and really garnering some genuine interest in what the client needs. You're asking them every question, anticipating everything that might go wrong, any obstacle you might encounter, and you're trying to really go through all your candidate qualifications that you had those first couple of weeks and trying to make a match and a marriage in that way. And I think what really makes it so beneficial, kind of what you guys spoke on, is that the client really values your perspective. They can really tell just by the vernacular that you use and how you can speak to certain modules in your respective markets that you really actually know what you're talking about, and you're not just somebody using a title and running with it. So I think that's another, the value that we put behind our form of recruiting that we do here.
Yeah, I think that's something very interesting statistic I'm going to provide through this as well, that in this conversation we're going to focus now a little bit more why in this particular case that your relationship with your candidates, especially in the niche sector, becomes so powerful and so important. Some of the very quick stats as recent sources. I mean, anybody else watching this, please help me correct the sources or even name something that we don't know. Please drop in the comments. Also let us know how the sound quality is sounding so far. So first source actually came from MRI Network, also international-based company. 86% of recruiters and 62% of employers felt that 2016 labor market was candidate-driven based on their survey. And the next one that's even more interesting, the source was actually on JobVite. Salary is negotiated more than ever by recruiters, predominantly more than 68% of business that are actually negotiated by recruiters, not by clients or candidates. So that shows you that I think that being the number 2 largest career profession, recruitment, in the world, how powerful that what we do in part in the make a big difference in people's lives.
Yeah, the impact.
Beyond that. So with that being said, what are some of your most memorable experience from working with candidates, current and prior?
I'll start out. I had one candidate who I spoke with, and obviously over the phone, it's hard to gauge people. So you take a lot from tone and demeanor and energy. So I'm really big on texting after we've had an initial phone call. I think it's very easy, especially with the millennial generation. So it's Saturday night, and I get a text message from a number I don't recognize, and the person who I thought was this great candidate sent me a picture asking to sell crystal meth.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's one of my more memorable ones.
I'm sure it'll be one of the candidates you will probably not be continuing any further relationship
You're
beyond
no
the
longer
service
under
level.
consideration. Why?
Yeah.
Probably won't pass the drug testing
I had
and
to
more.
do a Google
Not even
image
a 5
search.
panel.
I had no idea what it was till Google image. That is crystal meth.
Yeah.
Oh goodness.
Yeah.
Well, we learn something new every day, I guess. But
Mine is not that. Mine's more of something that just meant a lot to me so far in my career. It's actually with a candidate that I didn't even end up placing with the job, but I worked really closely with her. I coached her through her resume. We connected weekly. She actually ended up getting placed in a call center, which is not my prior experience in recruiting. We didn't work with call centers, so she went just a completely different direction. But she called me when she got that job and thanked me for all of the help. And she still contacts me every holiday, every birthday, keeps in touch with me. It's been about 2 years now.
Wow.
that says a lot.
Yeah.
That's really good. Wow, yeah, I guess I would want to give a negative and a positive. I think some of the negatives I've had, and I may be doing my experience a disservice. One of the negative, most recent experiences I had was a candidate who I was presenting who is currently working in another role full-time, and I was presenting her to the client for a part-time role, and building rapport through the conversation, as I always do. I'm a pretty friendly guy, and I guess I encouraged her because she kind of doubted herself a little bit, and her knowledge of the product, what was required for the role. And so in the midst of that, she starts talking about her physical attributes, and I guess she thought, and she didn't talk about it in a way that was inappropriate. She just made comments like, "Oh, I'm a cute such and such ethnicity girl," and talking about her size, and I'm just like, okay, right. And so I had to redirect the conversation just to keep it tasteful, but also acknowledge, I heard you.
I love the word,
but I'm not gonna
tasteful.
Yeah, just trying to keep it tasteful. And mind you, I'm in an office with my colleagues, so that was maybe one of maybe two times that somebody had, approached me in the middle of a phone evaluation.
Yeah.
But majority of my poor experiences with candidates was just dishonesty, or people, I'm bringing them on, and like Matt said, they would do okay on the phone, and sometimes you try to give them benefit of the doubt. You try to throw them a bone a little bit, and they come on site for the job. They work for a little bit, and they start selling the products. No, they start selling the products that they're selling illegally. Making side deals, things like that. So
have you? I know you're a married guy, and when I first got into recruiting, it goes back to big texter Blakely. She would always ask me, who are these random numbers? Like, just always sending you messages. And it took like a couple weeks. Like, no, I swear, like, it's all work related. You can look through them. But
and my other half asking the same question. These questions about where should I be at? Where are you at right now? Like, who's this person? Getting a job interview.
Same for my wife and I.
Exactly.
I'm going to have you guys write something down.
Okay.
This is a question I have for you. Because obviously in the full 360 role, as we do our induction, we start on the candidate side of things, because especially this is a candidate-driven market, especially on the high demand of the niche skill set. It all goes back to your personal brand. If I have him write 3 things out of your call with the candidate that you want to make sure that they are on the receiving end, that they want to get from that phone call or from experience working with you in general, what are the 3 things you want them to take away about what the brand Matt is, what the brand Michael is, what the brand Molly is? What are the 3 things that's important to you to make sure that the other person on the receiving end?
Whether it's candidate or client?
Yeah, that's probably looking at a candidate perspective first. Because ultimately that in the niche market, it does come back sometimes even more than 50% of your candidate and client essentially are around the same people. And just provide everybody while they're writing down now the interesting stats. This is a source from LinkedIn specifically. Specifically that finding suitable candidates about 46%, compensation about 43%, and competition about 39% that constitute the 3 biggest obstacles in terms of hiring new talent. And I think that me into doing what I do find that now these 3 does come into quite a bit. So a lot of times it's a harder alignment and alignment that what's more important, the opportunity, / what we're able to offer, / what's appropriate, / the compensation, and so on and so forth. But at the end of the day is now everything that is in a fast-paced environment, we want to make sure we get away with a brand, with something that's recognizable, with something that tangible, probably not so intangible. We want to make sure that you left, you have had a good experience. You walk away with something that you didn't know about it before, and then granted some of that experience may not be as favorable, but I want to make sure you walk away with something you didn't know about it before, and hopefully in a pleasant and then enjoyable manner. And I think that's what we strive for, keeping that a healthy relationship and benefiting both ways, either tangibly or intangibly.
Can you elaborate something that blows my mind? And I'm sure no matter what recruiting industry you're in, yes, it's not the most convenient to get a call from a recruiter at any time, but I never understand individuals who almost will burn a relationship before it's even gotten started. I would say 99% of recruiters are more than happy to call someone back and listen to their needs, but some people obviously say, I don't have time for this, I don't want to listen, and that could be true, but I mean, what's the harm in saying, thank you for the call, I can't speak right now, but perhaps we can confer at a later date, instead of shutting the door on someone who could potentially have a life-changing opportunity for you down the road.
Absolutely. I think that something I want to stress is, think about our personal experience. We see a random number calling, especially without a caller ID. Predominantly, that we'll probably have a skeptical approach to it. We do have a caller ID, just for the record. 678-291-0081. I'm more than happy to talk to you. But obviously, when they see that right number that they don't recognize, and then when the number rings, and then that, hey, good morning. My name is Kyan. Congratulations, you have won a so-and-so trip. Usually, most people's standard response will be hang on that call, or just
not interested.
Sorry, I'm busy right now, or not interested. I'm not buying. I'm not looking for a new opportunity at the moment. But it goes back into how well you can impart potentially that to make sure you leave at least one value on that call. And then it's odd that all 4 of us have very different persona, demeanor, about our voice tone. Same thing that we use, including that one of our very first step on how we make our phone calls. And then it all comes out very different. It's partially your personal brand, and I think that it's about the delivery. But I do genuinely believe that people are flattered when they're getting called by headhunters or recruiters or anybody that appreciate their talent. And then personally for me is I try to make a point of make sure that they hear that their talent is being appreciated. Granted, that being is that what me potentially as a recruitment professional that I'm looking for, it goes back to the qualifying candidate portion of things. But I want to make sure they walk away with something that either I make them feel good about what they do, a little bit more incredibly never hurt somebody, and also walk away having a good experience working with me, and they remember that either it was my tone, my accent, or the way I deliver things, or the way I articulate, or the way I phrase things. So hope that impart a little bit more about the purpose of your call, what you want to drive away, what that relationship would be. Does that answer your question?
No, 100%.
So with that being said, let's hear a little more about what your brand is, specifically based on what you're trying to make sure the other person gets.
Perfect. I would say my top 3 that I want to take away. I want to be a man of my word. If I tell someone that I am going to send them an email in regards to requesting a resume or client information, I want to have it within 5 to 10 minutes. If I'm not able to make it, I want to send a text message, something that says I've been delayed. That way, it just goes back to show their time's valuable, my time's valuable, but I still want to do what I told you I was going to do. Knowledge of the marketplace, and this just goes back to knowing, again, I think Molly elaborated on it, the value of your skill set, what trends are going in. I know in my market, manufacturing experience seems to be a little bit hotter with some more market confidence and potential jobs coming back. And then the genuine interests. Yes, it's awesome when you learn about someone's profile, what they've done, their skill set, but do you know what their spouse does for a living? Do you know what they like to do for fun? Because those are going to be, factors in the relationship you have with them if you're ever going to potentially place them.
Very nice. That's the Matt brand, the JD Edwards market.
That's mine.
Take it away, lady.
Mine is similar, but interestingly enough, the first thing I want somebody to take away from my conversation with them is just genuine interest. I am well aware that most of the people I'm speaking to probably are getting other calls from other recruiters, and they're not going to have the same interest in the market that I do. So even if you're not looking for employment, that's not the purpose of my call, which I try to clearly state. My purpose is not to recruit you, not to tell you about what jobs I have, to learn about what you're doing in the market that I specialize in. Should you be looking for opportunity, I do have those resources, but I want to learn about your expertise. What are you doing? What are you looking to do? Like Matt said, how's your family? Like, where do you want to be? Do you want to stay in the same area? Help me learn about what you bring to the table and what you're wanting to do, just so I can help, understand my market better. Also, a mutually beneficial network. I've had some people I call ask, well, what benefit is it to me to talk to you? Well, I network with
thousands of
clients
doing what you do, and probably more or less, but doing what you do.
Even if you're not looking for an opportunity, there's not an immediate benefit to speaking with me. If you take that extra 10 minutes, tell me about your expertise, I could call you with an amazing opportunity that maybe you didn't see coming. Things change so quickly in life that unforeseen circumstances happen, and it's always good to have something in your back pocket to know, like, well, I didn't see this coming, but I made this connection a month ago with Molly, and she could help me out now. And then also next steps. If somebody I speak to isn't looking for an opportunity, I'd love to still connect with them. Let me check in with you in a couple months and see where your head's at, how things are going. I spoke to a guy who has daughters in college, wanted to reconnect in a couple months, maybe look for a higher paying job now that he's got to support 2 people going through school.
Life got real.
And I'm sure if you, even though the guy said a couple months, and if you have a client who comes to you needing someone with that skill set tomorrow, even if you approached him, he would be just as excited and probably really eager to learn about it, if not go through the process.
So just following up on keeping in touch, maintaining the relationship regardless of if there's immediate opportunity or not.
Cool. It's kind of funny because both of you piggyback on the genuine interest portion of things. I want to throw a couple more stats in there because essentially having that relationship is number one. This came from workplacetrends.com. from earlier this year, 2017, almost 60% of the job seeker report that they're having a poor candidate experience. That's how bad, unfortunately, that the recruiter name is out there in the U.S. And also the other stats came from NetSuite, and then 80% of people would like to take one job over another based on their personal relationship that's formed during this entire process. So that shows you a little bit more about
Personal relationship.
Exactly, and if something that's in there, like similar like Molly said, even if it's not something that's for you, but hey, when it comes around, you'll know who to call because you know you made an impact in that regard.
Who are you gonna call? Molly Korb. So yeah, I guess for me, 3 things I would want every candidate to take away would, once again, genuine interest in their skills and experience.
Do not script this.
No, it's not scripted. It's just after you have, been in recruiting for, 1 year, 6 months, a month, you realize how vital it is for the candidate to know that you are actually calling, and it's candidate-centric. The whole conversation is candidate-centric, to dig in deep to who they are. And then, yeah, like you said, I think once you guys start imparting knowledge, you can share what you're knowing, what you know about what's trending. They can share what they know, and it's beneficial for both parties. I like to also get into what the client wants, even if it's not specific to one client. Even if one of the call that the reason for your call was for one position, but they're a better fit for that next role, or if you contact them seeking referrals and you mention to them, hey, I need a referral. I know you had some friends that you work with in this last opportunity. You had somebody who worked with Java, and they would typically say, oh, present me for it, but you should say, you mention to them another role that you're aware of, even if you don't have that client yet, or even if you're not working on that at that current moment, that week, you kind of throw something at them. So they're, oh, Michael was considering me, or Kyan was considering me. So that's the other thing with talking about what the client wants and how they align with that role. And then the last thing I would get into is how it would impact their family, their lifestyle, and their career. I think a lot of people like to present themselves as they're all about work, but in all honesty, we still want lifestyle and balance, and work-life balance, So that's the other key thing. I think you should go for roles that also help you gain something in your career. Some people want money, some people want career experience. Some people obviously everybody wants both.
And more.
Yeah, and more. So you should definitely go and pursue an opportunity that will also give you something in your career and something that will allow you to accomplish your goals with your family and your personal lifestyle.
Yeah, actually one question on that note. I think each of you represent great on your personal brand, and I think obviously that as time goes on, you will be able to elevate from the foundation you have built for yourself now to even much further stage. But at one point that we realized we were on that particular phone call, this call may not be going anywhere, that they're trying to shut you down, they're trying to put in any potential rebuttals or rejection or potentially negative, trying to spin the things out. I'm just really busy right now, why are you bothering me? How do you get yourself elevated from that particular stage?
Yeah, so I guess it's the training program paying off. I found that if you can, if you can keep asking them open-ended questions, it really forces them to think rationally. I understand you're completely busy, as am I, but I'm sure you would agree there's no harm in connecting with someone who deals with 6,000 JD Edwards clients, and they're like, yeah, you're right. All right, when is a better time to call back? And then just let them answer. So it goes back to, I try to at least throw in what value I'm bringing to the table before they hang up on me again.
I know for me, so I had that experience with a client today. I spoke to an HR manager for a nearby client, and I mentioned to him that we're local, and I mentioned to him that I specialize in Cerner, and I also mentioned that we work on I mentioned a couple of factors.
Did you mention, or did you actually make a point of actually saying?
I made a point of 3 things. I missed one thing, and the one thing I did miss was you should mention what your specialty is in terms of what your organization does. So he knows that I work with Cerner, but there's a lot of organizations that work with Cerner. So what makes me different?
Special.
Well, yeah, I only focus on that. I don't work with Epic or McKesson or anything like that. And so the contingency basis piece was the other thing that I wanted to discuss with that client. And I think it would have cause him to reconsider or possibly look into setting up, an on-site meeting.
Yeah. So I, coming here, have been amazed and impressed with how this company works in respect to how other companies work, with how we work with the market. So taking that genuine interest in how your market is running, you're bringing something to the table that nobody else is able to bring to the table. So it's hard when you're working with busy professionals. I understand that. We're probably just as busy in here, taking time.
Everybody's busy.
Everybody's busy, but understanding that this is a relationship where, like Matt said, I can't talk right now, but I'm free at 4 o'clock. I've had so many candidates do that, and then we have a great conversation at 4 o'clock. And then you come to learn how you can really help each other. Like, help me learn about the system and your expertise. I can bring my market knowledge to the table, and we can find a great opportunity and work together. So just getting somebody to realize you bring something that those 10 other recruiters calling you are not able to bring.
Yeah, I think that's interesting that you lead into our next conversation, because in terms of how we control, I think manage the process, is there's a level of education piece that sometimes candidates forget, or sometimes human nature that they don't want to be told what to do, but in a sense that people do want to be told what to do because they want to just tell me the expectation, what the expectation is, so I would do it. But how do you go about in terms of educating your candidates, sometimes client, in your specific market space?
That's been a huge learning curve, and learning curve is a horrible phrase, but definitely something that's a lot different, as Molly said, from other firms that we have experience at. Once you do set that precedent that you are an expert and this is what you do for 40 plus hours a week, I think it really elevates you to a position where you can tell the client, this is how we're going to do it, this is how I work, and on the candidate side too, this is how I do things. I don't care that you've never been asked to do a 30-minute phone screen with me before, which is how I operate.
Yeah, to piggyback on that 30-minute phone screen, also us being so thorough with the candidates and with the clients gives us that realistic expectation when we're talking to the candidates of this is exactly what the client is looking for, and on reverse, talking to the clients, this is exactly what our candidate brings to the table. So there's no fluff in our recruiting style, which I really appreciate. It's completely transparent on both ends.
It's not always rainbows and sunshine, so why paint the picture that it's always sunny out there and the future is great? Nothing more than a little bit more.
And I know from speaking with so many candidates, the first thing they think I'm going to do when we start talking is just send me the job specs and I'll look it over. That's not what I'm looking to do. I'm looking to learn about your expertise. There's so much more that goes into the relationship that I want to build with you, and learning about what do you want. I don't want to know if you're interested in this job. I want to know what your systems experience is. Maybe there's something better for you that I have with a different client than just sending you something right away because it's in my hand.
I think it's kind of funny. Candidates wanting you to send a job spec via email or quickly describe it in the first 2 minutes of a phone call. It's like, I'm not Career Builder, Indeed, or Monster. You can go do that for yourself. What I bring to the table in terms of educating you is I can tell you exactly what I understand about this role. I've spoken to this client. I've spoken to the person making the hiring decision. And then even outside of a client conversation, even if I'm just qualifying a candidate, we're talking on a peer-to-peer level. So I can share with you what I know about Cerner Community Works compared to Cerner Millennium, and I can share with you what I understand how Dragon interacts with PowerChart and PowerNote. So that's other things that I think, and if you've been an engagement leader or project manager and you don't necessarily build, I can kind of talk through some things very briefly to give you an understanding of what this role may entail out of their engagement leader or their project manager or their program manager. So it's also that, like Matt and Molly said, is that when you're dealing with this 8 hours a day, you get some insight that other recruiters or competitors may not necessarily have.
Yeah, and it's so helpful too once you do find something for those people that you don't have to go back and ask them 8,000 questions. Yeah, sure, you might want to little follow-up. Hey,
Yeah.
they're looking for this specific thing. Can you just elaborate? But, I mean, would you rather have one 20-minute phone call or 3 15-minute phone calls over
Exactly.
the course of a week?
Exactly.
Yeah, especially the crazy part is because we mentioned a little bit more about now 60% of jobs are actually done a lot by the recruitment side of things, essentially by the agency side of things.
Yeah.
Now another crazy stat is not by us not be able to control the entire process, know everything. It's all about for us about participation, both on the candidate side and client side. The slow interview process. This is a source catch came directly from Glassdoor. I gradually increased over time the time to hire. The interviewing process in America right now have grown by 3.3 to 3.7 days since 2009. Today, an average, the entire full life cycle process to find a talent, it takes about 22.9 days. Just keep in perspective, look at everything on the we call it a full cycle from the beginning to the end, bringing the job in, negotiate the contract, replacing the candidate. For us, roughly, less than a week.
Yep.
22.9 days in order to find the right talent. It show you a lot about how much power, how much level expertise that we can bring onto the table.
Yeah.
So, closing remark, and then I would like to each one to share with you a little bit more about why is building relationship in this case with you with your specific market that's important to you.
With me, I've just always enjoyed talking with people every day, and yes, it's cliche, but it is interesting to learn about different people, especially throughout the U.S. I was talking with a couple clients about their experiences in Boston, and if Becky can, and then I'll shift my focus. Hey, what's going on out in San Diego? To the clients out in Denver. Hey, we're looking to go to InFocus in a couple weeks. We should meet up. Grab a nice craft beer while we're out there. So I take a genuine interest in just learning, about different people, and I think that reflects when as soon as I post a job on LinkedIn or anything like that, I'm getting inquiries or, hey, we spoke a couple weeks ago. I think this is the right fit. Let's reconnect.
And everybody knows you.
Yeah.
Yep.
God, all
That's
those
really
touches.
cool.
Yeah.
Molly?
Molly Korb. I would say I am very relationships driven. What motivates me is providing a good service to both my clients and my candidates. When I call you, it's not to throw my skills on you or say that, you can't do something without me. You probably could, but I'm an expert at it and I can probably do it better. Not to be arrogant, but I'm confident in my skills, and that's what makes what we do here unique, is we're able to have that confidence in our expertise in our market. So just having a genuine interest in what you're doing, what are your needs on the client side, and what are you looking for as a candidate, and making that match something really beautiful.
Yeah, you show them what you bring onto the table and much more.
Yeah.
Cool.
Definitely thought it was cool to go live today with the Empower Trio and Captain Kyan. I definitely enjoyed talking about building relationships. I think I'm gonna steal one from Molly. Clearly I'm candidate driven based on my 3 points. And why building relationships is important is because that's what somebody did for me, and I appreciated the value behind it. Like you said in your statistic, a lot of people are going to make decisions off of the personal relationship they built with the recruiter or the company. When you come and you shake your supervisor or manager's hand, whether it's McDonald's all the way up to Google, you're going to feel appreciated. You feel a genuine connection when you make eye contact. They ask you a little bit about what's going on with your family besides the, icebreaker norms. So I think the same goes for recruiting. Icebreaker questions don't necessarily get the candidate's interest, nor does it stick with the candidate. It's that connection that really sticks. When they remember your tone, they know exactly who you are the moment they pick up the phone. And they can remember exactly what you shared with them about what you're looking for and how their skills match up. So I think that's key. Oh, and this is me.
Cerner, hey.
Cerner.
Yes.
It's actually kind of funny because I read Gary Vaynerchuk's blog today. He put it in the generational perspective of a 19-year-old. It's always about your first contact is about the sale, about the close.
Yeah.
And then he thinks that for me, it's not so much about a generation. It's about a long-lasting relationship. It's about everything that you do is build out to that point.
Yep.
But he made a clear point: is don't just go always you know, so you call me because you have a job, you want to make money. And then it's about a relationship that's, you know, I'm here to stay. I'm here for the long haul. I'm gonna help you understand the value I bring out to the table. I think that's something that, you know, the intangible piece that makes it much, much more valuable. Talking about building relationship in that particular regard. So, speaking of Gary Vaynerchuk, actually we'll be there next week when Tony Robbins.
Getting rowdy in Tony Robbins.
Yeah, I'm Barbara Carter and then Gary V that come to Atlanta. If you're there next Thursday, we'll actually love to network with you. Otherwise, you know how to reach us, 678-291-0081. We look forward to chatting with you next week. Thank you guys.